thank you everyone for coming. This is our 4th of 4 sessions. I can't believe that. It just seems like we just started this. And what's really cool for me is I've worked with Jondi for years and years, and it's such a nice refresher course. I've pointed this at things with patients. With my son's stomach ache last night, Jondi. It worked. Doggone it.
Doggone it.
As we kept building, we got the foundation, the informational, and then it's application. It's and I say this every time: practice. Just practice the muscle memory. So when you're working with yourself or with someone, it's not, you're out of your head. You're not thinking. You're doing the behaviors, and that only comes with practicing this a lot. Then you're not thinking, well, what is this? Is this next? But what do I say? Just practice it. Okay.
I appreciate that. I really do. And that's what I was saying earlier before all y'all came on, was the idea that when we get the opportunity to go back and forth with each other to try it, it becomes embodied instead of just one more piece of knowledge. And I can call that back up the more I do it, like he said. I mean, officially that would be prophylactically, but the idea is that I know how to do this thing. I know how to do it because it's so short, so easy to teach, so easy to use, so effective, so fast. Oh, right, I'm going to use it all the time. So you don't think anymore. You just kind of roll into the do. And proof is in the pudding, like those of you who've tried it can feel, because there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise. I mean, goodwill goes this far, right? And then where are we? So I'm really hopeful that you'll have this, because this will be perhaps one of the very fastest, best things you can give to somebody when you say, uh-oh, they need some support and they need it right now. And it's great having a tool for that. Anyway, well, can I start with just asking you, who in the crowd, who has tried this and has something that they can report? And when I say tried it, I mean practice it, taking it out, kick the tires, you know, that kind of thing. Let's see, where am I? I'm right here, probably there. I've got the good old PowerPoint up, and
Mine, Jondi.
hi. So there you go. And anybody can just say, hey, what did I do this week with what I've learned over the past 3 weeks? Was it for yourself, a little peer-to-peer? What did you notice? And anything is fine. I mean, Daryl just shared with me that it worked with one of his sons on his stomach, which is really great, especially since we don't want to load our kids up with pharmaceuticals and over the counter if we don't have to, right? And the more important part, which is what I was talking to Sean about earlier in the book, is if I can show them how to take care of themselves, I've made a resourceful, capable, in control, feeling really powerful and good problem solver child. And that's great for every reason, right? So how about us? What did we use it on? Anybody? And you can say anything. I didn't like it. I did like it. It worked great. It didn't. I don't understand. All of it's good. And by now you know that I don't bite, so that's good. Right? Anybody?
Yeah, I'll go first if you don't mind.
Thanks.
I've been kicking the tires, as you put it, Jondi.
Great.
A lot, I guess. I really like how you guys promote like the daily use. I kind of think of it like I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself a yogi, but they, yoga masters say that you're not really a practitioner unless you do it daily, unless you have your own daily practice. And I feel like that's with most mind, body, soul things. And so I've been trying every day, and I've been sharing it with people, and I've been getting some, more positive responses than I was in the past. So that's a good thing.
What do you attribute that to, if you don't mind my asking?
The more positive responses?
Yes, sir.
Probably the time frame and then I'm trying to do it. Like with my kids, for instance, it's not during the fire, but it's just when I'm being silly, and then I'll do it, and I get some smiles, and I even had my daughter. She's like, "I know what you're gonna do, Dad." So that felt good. And then just sharing with family and my sister-in-law wants to read your book too. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes sharing it with family is what we want to do. It's our reflexive action to do that. And sometimes those are the hardest people in the world to work with, because we have a different sort of dynamic and authority within that can cause a lot of problems if they feel like we're trying to unload on them or push them into something. And so congrats. That sounds like you're really walking the walk and talking the talk, in that she goes, oh, I'll try that, or what's that? That's what we want, that kind of open curiosity. And I also wanted to just point out that small kids get a real big charge out of teaching somebody bigger, like a bigger kid or an older person. Okay, let me show you how this goes. And it is not only kind of adorable, but it also helps their self-esteem. It helps them be heard and seen in a really positive way, and shows somebody that they can do it, you know? So maybe that's a good thing to add on, right?
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you. And can I ask you, does it feel like it's rolling a lot better conversationally in the introduction of it? Because that was my guess about why maybe it was going better, was I'm just getting more comfortable with conversationally working that in.
I think along with like the same principles here, I just don't go in with an agenda. And that makes a difference.
Okay, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it makes a huge difference in our own stress level too. Just, you know, that want to help thing is a huge stressor for ourselves. Right. And so that is an agenda that kind of arrives before us from an energetic standpoint, you know. And so just reducing that or letting that fall away feels good to you too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I've learned anyway. Thank you so much, Sean. Anybody else would like to share with us what happened? Did you notice any pattern? Did you notice any issue around trying it out with yourself or offering it to somebody else? Because I'm here to help that if you wish. And also I'm hoping that we'll get to just review a couple things and then maybe even do a little role play or a situation so that we can see giving it to each other is a lot easier than maybe you think. Anybody?
I can share that.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say.
So historically, typically, I don't know what the right word is. When he gets in trouble, the next day, it was almost you could bank on it, Jondi.
Yeah.
He has stomach problems the next day.
That's right.
And so he got in trouble this weekend, Sunday maybe or something. And last night, my stomach's bothering me. And so it's all connected to this emotional state, not a viral state. And so I just went in his room and laid next to him. And there was this level of distress. And so we just didn't talk to begin with, and did a couple rounds to get it to where he can become verbal. And then I talked about, well, where is it? And not even meaning, Jondi, just the state.
It was just a geographical question, right?
Yes, it was. I didn't need meaning. I just wanted to know where it was and what is it doing.
Yeah.
A couple more of that, and then we brought it back down to 0, and he was fine and probably getting in trouble out there right now. but how, but
Well,
I
now
said,
that you've given him a panacea, yeah.
it's like
Well, beautiful. And so I'm going to reiterate what you said because I think it's so important. I just said, well, where do you feel that? Or where is that? You know, where in your tummy is that is a good question. If they've already said my stomach hurts, where in your tummy do you feel it? And well, what's it like? Just curiosity, right? Just open, agendaless, as Sean says, curiosity. Well, it's at the top. Okay, it's at the top. Is it a lot? Yeah, it's a lot. And well, I'm just curious what it's like. Sometimes mine hurts, but I bet mine hurts differently than yours. How does yours hurt? Well, it's like a porcupine in there. Wow. Okay, I can feel that must be pretty uncomfortable, right? So whatever it is, I never have an agenda about it. And that's what makes it so easy because whatever we were talking about a few minutes ago, it's not about thinking. It is about being so present and just holding that space for their subjective truth. Right now, Daddy, it's like a porcupine in there is the kind of thing I expect his son to say in the future because he's anticipating now, this is how this goes. This is normally what you do. You figure out how it's feeling, right? Okay. It's so quick with them, so quick. They're so much faster than we are at the uptake on this.
you know, I think I've said this every week. I'll say it again though. Maybe it's my thing. Part of getting out of my own way and giving them the language that they give you.
Yes.
Don't make them interpret what you're trying to say or what your meaning is, because you're just leaving the part of the brain where all this stuff is living.
Yep.
So I have a daughter who, when she was younger, she described it as her nausea as a ball in my stomach, and I call it comfortably dumb. Well, where is it and what is it doing? And she said it rolls. So how cool of a description of nausea is that? It's like a ball in my tummy that rolls. And I said, does it have a color? And she looked at me like I was an idiot. Like, don't you know all nausea is green, you big dumb animal? And so and I didn't try to interpret or anything. I just gave it right back to her, even though it feels like a ball that's rolling, and it's green, and it's an 8 right now. That's just how it is. And I think the simplicity of it, and I keep preaching that because I've seen people do it that make it harder than it needs to be.
Yes.
And so don't make it harder than it needs to be. Okay, I'll be quiet.
Don't be quiet. I care about all this. You know I do. But I got a riff right on what he said. Exactly. We think it has to be more complicated because we've been trained in other things that are. The end. That's just something I learned about something else. Okay. This thing is less about thinking and more about being. Okay. So I'm learning how this thing goes. Right. And this is why you hear me all the time just using these very particular articles of speech. This thing, something happened. That's how it is. Right here. Yeah, it's like that. In this way, it can be very easy for me to stay out of thinking, well, wonder what that means. Wonder where this is going. That's not my job at the moment. My job at the moment is to be so simply present. And like Daryl said, comfortably dumb. Right? And if that word doesn't work for you, just show up clean. Just clean, right? And so when they say that, because now we're doing tapping, right? And I've shown you, I've got some slides I'll throw up there so you'll remember. I've shown you several things that are more in the category of emotional first aid that have touching, breathing, maybe light tapping. And those are all great in the moment, especially if you don't have words, especially if they don't have words, right? And you don't have to ask them much to tune in because most of us have noticed they're already tuned in, right? That's the look, that's the body language, that's the behavior tells. They're already tuned in. So you don't have to do anything fancy. Just show up and go, hey, what's going on? And I start. I don't have to say, well, we're going to do the so-and-so procedure. I just go, hey, what's going on? You look sad. So, okay, I'll just be with you unless you don't want me to be. And of course, I'm doing something I already know to do. And as they see me do it, just like Sean said and Daryl said, oh, very quickly, I know what Daddy's doing now. This is how it goes. This is just another version of normalizing, right? I've taught them to expect this is what you do when you feel like that. And when I do put words with it, that's what I was saying to Daryl just a moment ago. Okay, this thing feels like rolling ball. Got it. Feels like a rolling ball and it's green. Okay, that's how it is. I don't feel so good. Got a green rolling ball in my stomach. Okay, sure. Green, rolling, ball. I can split it up or I can just put it all together. Doesn't matter. The whole idea is it's their words, their attunement, their idea of what's going on. That's it, right? That's totally getting out of our way and being present to that. And so you can tell when you're tuned into them, you can easily tell, and you don't even have to ask the usual kinds of measurement and check back questions, even though in my habit, my practice, I know that I need to check in on that somehow. And I know they need to know so that they can be conscious that this is a good thing to do, a wise use of their time. But I don't have to make it official. I can say, I saw you just go, oh, it looks like that feels so much better. Is that right? So I truncated all the, fancy speak of, could you please tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are right now on this thing that's in your stomach, that's about a 4, that's about, when it comes to kids. When it comes to adults, I just level up the language. Sherry, you sat back, it makes me feel like something shifted. What's that? How is that? So same process, different approach in our application, but just meeting them where they are. So I didn't want to go off forever on that, but I thought it was valuable to see that it's really a very personalized process that deals with their subjective truth. So this was my Jondi phrase. You don't have to know a lot to help a lot. You just don't. Not in this particular case. Now, when we go into a therapeutic use of it, yeah, we're looking for a deeper investigation of what that's about. But these tools that I've given you from first aid through simple tapping are fantastic precursors. Why? Because they de-stress or de-intensify first. Then when they're back online in a much more resourceful state, then I can ask them a few more questions and get a more specific target or focus, because it's not the stress talking and their body is not in one of our protective modes. So keeping it simple protects me. I don't have to get vicariously traumatized by anything. It also protects them. They don't have to tell me everything that's going on. And it's easy for me to do, and it's fast for me to help somebody. So these are just things in your toolbox now, I hope, but practice is how they get there and stay there right on top and available. So we've done heart breathing, 4 thumps, 3 by 3, tension taming technique, and simple basic tapping. So we've done a lot. The heart breathing, if you'll remember, looked like that. We had both of our palms on top of each other, on top of our sternum. which covers your heart chakra, your actual heart, your thymus meridian point, as well as your collarbone points, right? So those are 4 really incredibly important parts that you're just putting your hands on top. It's as simple as that. And this one is good for adults or for kids. It doesn't matter, because all we're saying is just breathe with me for a minute. And if you want to, you can even visualize just kind of putting all that oxygen into your heart. If that pleases you, just visualize that while we breathe and we go. And then I might entrain their breath. Because with all you already know about breath, we know that breathing in through the nose is probably a great idea. Breathing out through the mouth, probably a great idea. And longer exhales are very helpful when people are upset, much less traumatized, right? And we just do that for a minute. Give it 30 seconds, which is an incredibly long period of time if you're just sitting there in silence. That's hard for Americans, right? We're just like, are we done yet? But that 30 seconds is the time for you to help them collect themselves in the moment. So that's very helpful for them. I also taught you 3x3 breathing. All of these, you don't have to remember them. It's just choose one and make it your own, right? Or love it so much we do more. But this is both hands on top of that same place. And the procedure is slightly different, but it's still about breathing. So I say, I know you're thinking about that thing. I'm just going to ask you to set it like right over here. Just a little bit of room. And just breathe with me. And we breathe in and out 3 times. And I usually make that audible to them so that we can entrain in our breath. And so I go. And again. And again. Great. I'd like to ask you or invite you to switch your hands and then put them right back. Top comes to bottom. And I would like you to think about that thing that's right over there now. Just what is present to you about it? Don't feel so good. Too much stress. I'll be all right. Whatever they say, we're back to the same kind of thing. And I generally respond, okay, I got it. I'm okay. And I'm stressed out. Okay, let's breathe together again, because we're going to do that 3x3, right? 3 times, 3 breaths. And again. And one more. And go ahead and slip your hands out. Just change positions again. Let me ask you, if you bring that lightly to mind again, what's present to you about it? It may be the same, or it might be a slightly different. It's just too much. Okay. Okay, and it's too much. Okay, let's just breathe one more time together, all right? And we do. And one more time. Good. And you can flop your hands again if you want. And just, I don't know, one last time, just ask yourself, and what's present to you now about this? In general, I get a more coherent deeper, more specific answer, which lets me know they're coming back online, so to speak, right? Because now I know that whatever questions that I have are going to be met with a more coherent response. Yes, Daryl.
Maybe talk a little bit about the friend who is just freaking out,
Mhm.
and they want to borrow some of our safety, so when we want to make sure we're okay ourselves before we engage this. But after the first round, they're still. But and they're still all about the narrative. But and it's pretty common. So they're talking about all this stuff up here, and they're not yet tuned in to hear yet. What are some verbiage? What do you recommend for? And that's very common.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for our audience for that person?
I love that question. Thank you. So that's a popular question with teachers too, right? I need you to shut up, attend to what I'm doing, calm down, whatever it is, right? So I use this kind of question with them too, which is I use a friendly directive and I say, you know what? Give me a minute to just settle. And of course, I've just put it on me now, right? Give me a minute to just settle. Do this with me. It just feels better when I just, for a minute. You see, I made a zip on the lip. I did whatever. I'm trying to pump the brakes. I'm trying to slow their roll. And with friendly directive, right? Teacher talk might be different. Teacher talk might be, use your fingers right now to talk to your heart with no words. Use your fingers right now to talk to your heart with no words, okay? Let's breathe into that. So she has authority, right? As Daryl's situation is, when I have a colleague or a friend, they're counting on you typically to listen, right? So that's why I answered you like I did, Daryl. Sometimes I put it on myself and just go, wow, that feels like a lot. Just give me a second here, okay? Do this with me. This makes me feel so good so fast, and I can hear what you have to say. Right? So I've backpedaled, but I've also given them an offer, an invitation to zip it in a way that makes sense to them because they're trying to help you now, right? They're my friend, they're my colleague. So I just gave them a good reason to do that. So I would try it that way. Often I'll go to the last thing that we learned, which is TTT, because if they've got a story they've got to tell, this is what I will typically say to them. And that's the one that looks like this, y'all. I'll say, you know what? This is great for really upsetting stories. Let me show you, just do it with me. All we do is breathe and tap literally like a minute and a half. Okay, can you do that with me? And so I'm telling them why, right? This works well with troubling stories and it's only going to take a minute. It really works, that kind of thing. I'll arrange my language by the person I'm speaking to. But when you do that, this tension taming technique is a nice name they gave it. Its original name is trauma tapping technique. And we know it works because it's been field tested for about 400,000 people in the West African diaspora who have gone through horrific things we never hoped to see. So we know it's going to work for your colleagues. And then, and you wouldn't, right? So this is a diffuser model that takes into account all the points on the meridian and breathing and a focus that is silent so you can kind of collect yourself. So you let your body collect itself and your mind rest while you're doing that, right? It's a chance for the mind to relax. Gerald, I over answered that, I'm sure, but I do think that those two ideas would serve well that person and it would keep them quiet long enough for this organic process to take place. Great question, though. anybody want to add to that, question it, fight it, anything you want, it's okay. This is just based on our experience. And hey, Jerry, is it okay if I call on you? Because I know you have been faithfully here. Did Daryl's question ring, I want to say, familiar for you? Are you called upon often to listen to others or help them that are more, in the nature of friends or colleagues?
I have, and family, particularly family, because I consider I've got 4 daughters and 6 grandchildren. So, and a lot, we've gone through a lot, but I think it's very true. It's just, and like you said, this is new to me. I've not used it before. So, I'm still learning, but I really love the concept and how, even just with you just talking about it and listening to it, I can even feel myself getting a lot calmer.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. And I want to be of service to you. I really do. That's my whole purpose here. And so I was going to ask you, is it possible that you would have a use for you and I going through something where you might even role play one of your daughters or grandkids so that we could kind of see how that might work for you? Would that be valuable?
Yes, I think so.
Cool. All right. Well, is it all right if I ask you to turn on your camera so I can see you and we can interact? Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you. So in this moment, I'm just going to ask you to decide who it is that you're going to portray and the kind of issue you might be dealing with or story, just whatever is common or typical is what's going to be most useful, is my guess. So maybe you could think about who do I need to try this out with? And I'm trying to make it easy. If I can talk it through, but it feels like I could probably just tap with you and that could be a much better interactive experience for you.
Okay, let me give me a second.
Sure. And anybody else who wants to try this after, you can also take a minute and think about this and just see if there's something that you want to try it on. I'm happy to do that. So typically, is there someone in the family, I'm going to try to help you here, and if it's not helpful, just say so. But is there typically somebody in the family who's more reactive, who's more likely to have a lot of sort of drama in their speech or presentation? And if that's not helpful, let it go. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Great. So let's just give them my daughter, my grandson, whatever, but we don't have to name them, just so I have an age and gender kind of idea. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. Can you just tell me who that is? And that kind of language, daughter, grandson, something.
Oh, yeah, my daughter is like 30, late mid 30s.
Okay. And so when I bring to mind, I'm going to try this on you first. When I bring to mind that daughter and how she gets often, what is that doing in your body right now? When you bring that to mind and you think, yeah, when she gets like that, where do you feel that reflected in your body? As a sensation, a tightness, maybe even like Daryl's kid, a ball. What's it like?
I think it's my stomach. It feels like it's my stomach.
Okay, well, that's a very popular place to do it, right? Our first brain, our gut brain, right?
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, I'm going to do this with you because it seems like it works really well for Daryl and Sean and myself. We like this. So I'll show you too. But let me just ask you one thing before I do, which is, I don't know, how big is it? Or what's it like? Just give me a detail. That's all.
Let's see. It's scary.
Okay. And so it's a scary sensation, a scary feeling. I just want to be on the same page with you.
A scary feeling.
There you go. Okay. Thank you so much. So let's just do this. I'm going to do this longer one with you because I think this will be really valuable. Okay. And so I say to you, because you're my colleague, I go, hey, Jerry, when I have that scary feeling in my stomach, this is what I do. Because this is true, by the way. I just tap on the side of my hand and I breathe and I give my brain a break. I'm just going to work on my stomach feeling better. Right? And then I'm going to take you to, just like in the drawing, Jerry, one or both of those eyebrows where it meets the nose. Just come on up there and let's just breathe. Nothing fancy. And go across the eyebrow there and just breathe. Right there. And then follow that bone until it's under your eye. Can you track my movements on the side of the eye? Right there, I'll get closer. I know that
Okay.
might be scary. Okay. And then we're going to go on that bone. We're going to follow it to under the eye. Perfect. And then let's follow it under the nose. Good. Good, good, good. And then under the lips, right at the bottom there. Perfect. And then back to those collarbone knobs that we've talked about lots. And I'm just tapping under both of them, those knobbies at the bottom of my throat. Good. And then let's go, I'm crossing my arms actually, and I'm going to tap on my ribs, right under my arms, just on the sides of my ribs under my arms. Good. And then I want you to, remember I showed you once, we're going to tap on these fingernail points, which you can do anytime you want, but it's part of the procedure here. So I'm just tapping on them and it feels a little wacky. So I'm going to support it with my thumb. Okay. So that way I can feel like I've got a safe base. And I go to the next one. And I go to the next one. And I go to the next one. And then I just kind of roll her over and do the thumb. Okay. And then come back to my collarbones, okay? Just right there, kind of dance across the chest. And let's stop for a minute and let's do some sharp breaths in and out. I don't know, 2 of them. Ha. Ha. That's perfect. Now we just do one more round of the same thing, which is lots faster because we don't have to find our way now. This is what the muscle memory thing's all about. Side of the hand, great job. Eyebrows right where they start on the nose. Good. And the sides of the eyebrows at the end of them. And then under my eyes on the bone there. Good. Under the nose. Perfect. Under the lips. Great. Then slide down your throat to the bottom of those collarbones. Great. And cross over and get those ribs. Perfect. And then I want you to come over to those fingernails, right? That I'm supporting like that. And I don't have to hold them out in space, but I'm just doing it so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. There you go. Roll her over. Get the thumb. Beautiful. One last time, we go back to the collarbones, kind of tap across the chest there, and we stop and we do those last 2 breaths, okay? There you go. So it gets faster and faster the more you do it because now you have muscle memory. It just goes, oh yeah, we're doing this, right? But let me ask you, go back and check on the stomach when you think of that daughter and how she gets.
Yeah, I don't feel that anymore.
And is that convenient? Is that helpful? I'm
Yes,
making a rhetorical question there, but I think it's worth reinforcing to myself. Oh yeah, this is good. I can do this. And trust me, you can really get this done in about a minute and a half. I don't know a better way to spend a minute and a half when I'm feeling badly or I've got this barrage coming at me. Hey, I'm going to take
Yeah.
that self-care moment.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. And so, Jerry, I hope that you would be able to try it, not in the fire, as we say, not when somebody is all activated, but when you sense that they're willing, they have something going on, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. You go, oh, you know, when I feel like that, I do this. I mean, that is literally my training language. When I feel like that, I do this. Here, I'll show you. So it's so in with my nature and my conversational style that I don't raise a lot of eyebrows or defensiveness. It's just, oh yeah, she's just always showing me something, you know? And that's great. And of course, your daughters, any of them that take this up, will show the grandkids, or the grandkids will see you doing it and they're going to show their parents. It just works like that. So it's really kind of nice.
I have a funny story because I pick up the boys at 3 o'clock. We're all right around 3 o'clock. So I try to join then. And then I had bought the book, the EFT by Gary Craig, and I had it it was under the couch, and one of my grandsons, I take care of two boys, and he says, looked at me and he said, are you listening to them again? And I said, yes. And he said, what are you doing with that? I said, I'm learning techniques. And he said, oh, okay. And then the next day he said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And I said, why? And he said, because I saw that book under the bed. He said, are you sure you're okay?
Aww.
And I said, yes, I'm okay. So he's one of the ones that's compassionate. He just,
I see that.
He thinks about things like that. So I found that very enlightening for him to notice that.
And so affirming of you,
right,
and your relationship. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I would say that he's kind of self-volunteered to be the kind of person that you can hold little bits of the conversation with, to say, you know, this is one of the reasons I am okay, is I learned how to do these things. So I take care of myself. I'll teach you to. It's okay. Whenever you want. No agenda, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of person who is already compassionately oriented that's going to be likely to share that with somebody else. Right.
Great.
And they get
That's
a lot
great
of self-esteem out of that too.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry. That was splendid and wonderful, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So did I.
Good. Anybody else has something to say or do? I'm aware of our time. It's always running out somehow, but I want to make sure that I meet you where you are.
I have something.
Yes, Daryl.
When we talk about muscle memory, which is so important because you can get out of your head and let your body do what your body does. But it also, the more you practice, the brain prepares for it. Because really you're saying, I'm having a different response than I used to. If a previous response was, I just reacted to whatever this information was, which included running, screaming, hitting, eating, drinking, smoking. I just went with it. And so the brain fires and wires to say, okay, well, this equals this. And so it's trying on your behalf saying, well, let me make your life a little bit easier and I'll just make some shortcuts for you if this equals this. Yeah. But when you say it's more, the muscle memory is important, but it's actually your brain says, oh, we're having a different response now. We're doing something different. There's a new sheriff in town. And so it has to learn the new response. And once you start practicing it over and over again, it says, oh, I know what this is now. And so it works on your behalf to become more efficient for you. How's that?
That's fantastic. And, when explaining that to people, I often just put it in very everyday terms. I say, have you ever tried to learn to play an instrument, or like the piano comes to mind? Because when I'm learning, I really need a lot of instruction. I need to coordinate my fingers. I need to make it do this. And the next time it's faster, and the next time it's faster, and the next time it's faster. And before I know it, I can actually not be looking at my fingers. Same could be said to a little kid with a bicycle. You know how you're worried about falling over, but you're supposed to look out, but you're looking down and you're seeing where you're going, and then you're trying to get your feet on the pedals and all those things. But before you know it, you're not thinking about that anymore at all. It's muscle memory. Your body has learned so quick because your body's amazing. And so when you even look at that bike, the body goes, got it, know what we're doing. You even look at those piano keys, it goes, oh, okay, we're doing that. Your neurology is created really, really fast, that pathway. And so the muscles just follow suit with what you've programmed. And that's a really cool piece of, hey, I learned these other ways to handle stuff, and now I'm learning something different. I love that, Daryl. Absolutely. I mean, habits, whether you're talking to motivational coaches or whatever, 21 days, 90 days, 60 days, whatever it is, everybody's got their own idea about that, but everybody agrees on this. Consistent practicing makes the habit become a habit. It creates that new programming. And that's what you'll find with this too. It's just a whole lot easier than most of those other things like piano playing or bike riding.
I got a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry I joined late, but I joined last week, and it was really helped me out, the tapping, whenever Daryl had a headache, and I was in the background over here, I had a headache, and it cured it.
Wow.
That was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I just went to just come from a training that we were mandatory training. It was called Brains of Addiction. And it kind of opened my eyes a bit. Even though I'm an older man, I finally came to realize how a brother of mine passed away. His brain swelled up and pinched a nerve in the back of his neck. So that caused, I'm pretty sure that was it, because all the symptoms that were described were, and he was 30 years old, so that was a tough one. From he passed out, and that's what happened. So that's pretty common, as in Indian country, So.
Well,
okay, I got a question on darn, I had it there. Procrastination.
mm-hmm. And what can you share that question with us?
Oh, well, I set goals to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it's laziness or procrastination or what. Something's holding me back from doing these things. I don't know if I got a block in my jug head or what.
I love your languaging, and Daryl and I would tell you that simple expression of your truth, I don't know why I do that, I don't know why I procrastinate, is exactly where you start with this. And so if you are calm enough and you don't need the emotional first aid tools, you feel like, okay, I'm in a pretty neutral place. That's when you start putting the simple truth into the basic tapping that you have the charts on. And the basic words you put with it are not fancy at all. They're truthful, just the simple truth, right? I don't know why I procrastinate. And that's just true. I do procrastinate. I notice it. I don't know why. That's where I'm at. There's a lot of things I procrastinate on, or there's one thing, whatever it is. And I don't know why yet. But I do know that tapping helps me process better. Right? And so I'm just going to take that little phrase and I'm going to put it right into the tapping. It's the reminder point, if you will. And I'm going to go, I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know why I do that. Not yet. I don't know why yet. I know I'm tapping all by myself here, but I'm showing you. I don't
Will you
know.
do that too?
I would love that so much. Yes.
Awesome. Oh, okay.
Okay. So you use your 2 fingers tapping too. Okay. And we're just saying the simple truth. I'm going through this because I haven't seen you a lot. So it's just the top of the head is where I go from here, top of the head. And I just go, I don't know why I do that.
I don't know why I do that.
Right. And you go to the eyebrow where it meets the nose. I don't know why yet.
I don't know why yet.
Must be a reason, but I don't know why yet.
Must be a reason. I don't know why.
I don't yet.
I don't yet.
Let's go under the nose. I don't know.
I don't know.
Not yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. And then let's go to the bottom of the throat, right about at the collarbones. I don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Yeah. And let's do this one last point. I just reach across my body to get the side of the ribs. I don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Right. That's one single round. I often, when I'm pondering something that I'm curious about, I might do 3 or 4 rounds just like that. I don't know. I don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Right. And when I do that, I generally find some clue comes to me. And I also notice that my body starts relaxing because I'm not wagging my finger or demanding it or saying, what's wrong with me? I'm just showing up and going, what's this all about? Right? This is why we call them mind-body tools, because we're treating the body in order to help the mind work with us, right? And so I know we're out of time, but I want to say to you that this classically would be in psychology, we would be using parts work. There's a part of me that wants to procrastinate. There's a part of me that doesn't want to do this. There must be some good reason that a part of me keeps getting in my way, right? That's classic part works used in tapping. But for the moment, we're just sticking with the tapping and the simple truth.
Okay.
We can ask, what is it? How much? What's that like now? What's that like now comes at the end of my tapping when I just go, okay, what is that like now? When I think about procrastinating, what comes to me now? It's a very simple question between the most important relationship you'll ever have, which is with yourself, right? So I ask you to ask yourself, well, what's this like now, right?
Okay.
And that's how I process into answers because, well, it doesn't matter what I usually say, but I'll tell you, I always say there's a really good reason for it. I just don't know what it is yet. Because humans do things for reasons. It's just generally not conscious to them. Not yet. But when we tap, I think you're going to get a lot of information. Is that a good place for me to stop with?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to honor your participation, and I'm really sorry I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm going to turn it back to Daryl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, for dedicating your last 4 weeks. We'll be back again on Thursday. It'll be probably the same session, generally the same session. If you want to just come and just practice some more, we'll be here.
Okay.
And we're going to, we've talked more about expanding and doing more. We'll see how that goes over the next month or so. But if you hear that we're going to expand on this, be sure to come back and invite people back. I hope you guys I know, Gene, you said that you already felt your headache went away.
Yeah.
And so you've already felt the benefit of it. And
Uh-huh.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Let me try to think what else.
I ask, I'm not begging, but I ask with great enthusiasm, please just keep trying it out and see for yourself what you make of that.